Citigroup has reported that 54% of jobs across the banking sector are at high risk of automation. The group's latest analysis highlights that artificial intelligence is expected to displace more jobs in the banking industry than in any other sector. As technology continues to advance, AI is set to transform consumer finance, significantly boosting productivity while fundamentally reshaping the workforce. What does this mean for security of jobs? Joining us now is Arthur Goldstuck, who's the Chief Executive Officer from World Wide Worx. Arthur, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. Did it come as a surprise at all that Citigroup finds that around 54% of jobs in the finance sector can be automated?
Good morning, Aldrin. The biggest surprise is that they are surprised by these kind of numbers because the impact of the internet on jobs in the banking sector has been far greater over the last decade or so. With the advent of online banking and then app banking, the role of the teller has all but disappeared. But it's also an indicator that the United States is still so far behind the banking technology revolution, which South Africa, by the way, is among the world leaders of in terms of automating banking and moving the banking consumer from the branch onto the app. So we already have seen that kind of decimation of jobs in the sector, or people being moved to different kinds of jobs. And I think the United States is still lagging in that impact. And Citibank is only now starting to see the effect. AI will have a smaller impact on jobs in banking than app banking and online banking have already had.
Yeah, so speak to us about that particular conundrum, because on one end you have the United States, which has the biggest banks in the world, which apparently are not using advanced technology, compared to what's happening on the African continent, where you find sometimes Americans visiting, for instance, Kenya, are shocked that Kenya has M-Pesa.
Correct. And one great example of that is that in the past, in South Africa, a large number of people were employed in the business of processing paper checks, not just collecting them at the branch via the teller, but also sorting, organizing, storing, analyzing, etc. That has vanished entirely because checks were stopped in South Africa a few years ago. In the United States, a check is still the way you pay salaries and many other things. So that alone is a segment that in the next few years will vanish in the United States, but they are so far behind what we are doing in South Africa and in Kenya, for that matter, in terms of digital banking and mobile banking, that they are only now starting to realize the impact it's going to have on them.
Yeah. Do you see some sectors using this report to argue why they should start now working on coming up with alternative technology that could be used, perhaps maybe that could lead to also some people losing their jobs? Here in South Africa, for instance, we speak about reskilling people. I don't know how big this conversation is within the banking sector itself, but could it be used to argue and say that, listen, on the basis of the software that is available and the basis of how advanced AI is, we'll have to cut these jobs?
The real problem is that reskilling usually applies to moving people up the skills ladder from where they are to what makes sense from where they are. But the big demand of the coming years is going to be in software development, in AI development, in app development. And you can't move someone who's only trained to be a call center agent or a teller into suddenly developing software. So they have to come up with new kinds of jobs, or they have to reskill in different ways to be able to adapt those people's roles. But to just give you an example, in app development, 20 years ago, that didn't exist. Today, in the United States alone, more than 2 million people are employed in that segment. So we're going to see that in AI as well. And I think an area where we're going to see massive growth as a result of AI is the need for a human touch. As much as AI will automate processes and take over many human roles, because it does it better than humans, quite frankly, there are many things where the customer is going to require a human to hold their hand. And that is perhaps outside the banking sector. But broadly, again, one of the job descriptions that didn't exist 20 years ago, that has nothing to do with technology, for example, was the personal trainer. Is now more than a million employed worldwide. The biggest area of job shortage globally, aside from cybersecurity and AI developers, is in personal care, nursing, and home care and the like, especially in the United States and Japan. We'll see that in South Africa as well as the population ages. So there are many areas where we're going to see massive need for human beings at the same time as we're going to see massive displacement of jobs as a result of AI.
Yeah. So could that be the reason, again, going back to the Citigroup's research, that, for instance, in the banking sector, they say 54% of the jobs there could be automated compared to 30% in the automotive industry, public service at also 30%, communications and media at 33%. So, Naledi, for now, we're a bit safe. I think for now, we're a bit safe. But could it be that particular reason, that there are some industries that really require the human touch for it to progress and to ensure that the balance sheet remains profitable?
That's absolutely correct, Aldrin. For example, they tried a few years ago to replace you when they introduced virtual presenters on a few pioneering channels around the world. We've had a few artificial intelligence and avatar-based presenters. In other words, software was used to create these presenters. AI was used to give them a voice and to have them almost thinking. But those are novelties, and the public certainly did not take to them. So you are safe for the coming few years. The banking teller isn't. But you mentioned automation in the automotive industry. A great case study is the Ford factory in Silverton in Pretoria, where they went for a high level of automation back in 2009, and there was fear of jobs being lost. But within 10 years, they'd more than trebled their workforce because productivity and quality went up so much that demand increased and supply increased. And they were able to better supply the market and better satisfy customers. So that in turn resulted in massive increase in employment.
Yeah. In South Africa, how far are we in terms of adopting AI when it comes to the workforce?
We're still fairly far behind. When it comes to generative AI, which is what everyone is worried about right now, for example, our research that we conducted with Dell Technologies and Intel showed that 90% of large enterprises either had started or were going to start on using generative AI. Only 10% of companies wouldn't use it. So one has to look at any area where content creation is part of the role. And you'll see not necessarily jobs being taken over by AI, but jobs being augmented. In other words, AI will make you better at your job. Maybe not you, Aldrin, because AI can't do a better job at presenting than you, but the content that you are given to present is going to get better, not because AI will replace the people writing the content, but it will help them fine-tune that content. And that in the content industry is ideally what we should be seeing. Publications that want AI to replace their humans, for example, in the world of content, or media outlets that want to replace humans, are going to produce mediocre content because AI averages out all content and makes it mediocre. If you want to stand out, you need humans who have the ability to bring themselves into what they produce and to stand out from the average that will be produced by AI.
Naledi, once again, our jobs are safe for now. Thank you so much for that assurance. Arthur, I just quickly want to go to this story, Arthur, with Elon Musk saying that he threatening to ban Apple devices at his company over the new OpenAI deal. And this is, of course, on the iPhones. What do you make of that?
That's Elon Musk being scared of competition again. He was one of the guys who signed an open letter a year ago calling for a halt on AI development because it was out of control, supposedly, and it was a threat to humanity. But the truth emerged quite quickly that he was planning his own AI business. He's launched his own AI agent called Grok. He's launched his own AI company, his own AI language models, and clearly he was upset that they had got in ahead of him, and he was trying to basically slow them down. Apple now has caught up after really lagging the rest of the market, and that again has got Elon Musk all skittish that he is going to fall behind. He wants to be the leader in every single segment in which he plays, and he clearly isn't. He is now the one playing catch up, and he's terrified by what Apple is doing. Not that Apple is the leader either, or that it's the best, but because Apple is in the hands of every second American. It's the leading American smartphone brand. Elon Musk sees that as a major threat.
Yeah. Who stands to be the biggest loser here? Is it the iPhone user? Is it X, the company? Or is it OpenAI?
Oh, it's X, the company, definitely the loser. Everyone else will move on while Elon Musk tries to hold back the floodwaters. It's like trying to hold back the waves. He's the King Canute who, in mythology, tried to order the waves to stop coming onto the beach. And he's doing exactly that at the moment. He's trying to hold back the inevitable.
Arthur, thank you so much for your time. Arthur Goldstuck there, who is the Chief Executive Officer from World Wide Worx. Really appreciate your time.